Hi everyone, I am so excited that you have joined us. We are going to be looking at projects from the past of Quilt Club Week and some of the new ones that we have. So get your pencil and paper ready so that you can make notes. This is what is in Quilt Club Week. I was so excited when I was looking back over my notebook with all the different classes and things that we've taught since 2020, and I think there's some things in there that you maybe have forgotten about or haven't even watched at all. So many times people will text or email and say, I would really like to see a class on whatever. And about 8 times out of 10, I say, that was in Quilt Club Week of 2021 or whenever it was. So make sure you go back in and watch all of those. And if you're new to us, Quilt Club Week is a special time of the year where we have a week where we just really teach and video and have fun for a whole week. We started it actually back in 2020 when no one could go out and go to a quilt show. What does a quilt show do? A quilt show shows you new fabrics, new techniques, maybe a new pattern, new kits. It's a fun time to spend with friends that enjoy the same thing you do, and it gets us motivated and excited. Every time I would go to a quilt show, I would just have tons of mixtures of ideas swarming around in my head. Now, the other thing about Quilt Club Week is that we do some things that we don't have time to do during our fall and spring semesters. So that means we get to do little crafty sewing, we do machine quilting, we do machine applique and wool, and just these different things that we don't have time to do in our regular spring and fall semester. So it's a time to be creative and jump in there and do something a little bit different. So I have a lot of quilts here. I don't have a clue how many that I have up here for you to see, but these are all quilts that we have taught in Quilt Club Week. And before we get started looking at those, and of course we want you to go and sign up for Quilt Club Week. You can go to squareandasquare.com, which is our website, sign up for our email, get more information about Quilt Club Week, and then our teaching website where everything is out at Quilt Club Week, this webinar, Premium Club, that's in squareandasquare.net, and that's our teaching website. And lots of times on Facebook and our other social media platforms, we will have little short reels or shorts, they call them, and they have to be under a certain amount of time or they cut it off. And so we can't do a whole teaching in 90 seconds of a reel or a short, but all of those reels and shorts have been taken from a previous teaching that's already in the .net. So go in there and look and search and use the search bars, use as few as words as possible. And if you ever need help, you can email us. And we also have the Quilt Text Hotline, 817-713-2879. Try to keep the Quilt Text Hotline for quilting questions, and try to keep the email for where do I find this, or I need to change something on my order, that type of thing. Now, if you're on our email list, and of course I want you to be on our email list so that you don't miss anything that's going on, you will have gotten 2 downloads today. One of them is the page where we've talked about what we've done for August, and you can go back in and look and see what day we taught, whatever. And then the new one that we added is the September one. I kept talking about the September one and all that, and now you finally have it, and it goes into beginning part of October so that you can have dates and calendar and times so that you know what we're doing. Also, we have our fabric sale going on. Go back to, was it August the 6th or 7th? That was August the 7th was our fabric promotion. You can go back in and watch that video, see the current fabrics that are on sale for the month of August, and then you can see the new fabrics that are coming, that are on their way. They'll be here and we'll be promoting them in November. And we have, I think, 22 current ones now that will blend with the 16 or 17 that are coming in November. And we want you to be able to build and think about what quilts you make and watch those videos and plan your fabric. If you're new to us, or if you haven't figured it out, we're all about you. We want to teach you, we want to show you, we want to help you, we want to give you good tips and hints, and we want to give you good quality fabric with our promotions at a discounted price, and that because we're here to help you achieve all of those quilting dreams that you have. Now, when we do a big promotion like we do now, when we get to the end of a section of fabric or a bolt or a roll, whatever you want to call it, we may have pieces that are not big enough to go into the half yards, the 1 yards, the 2 yards, and so on. So we do little end of bolt packets. So be sure and check those on the website. Also, we do have a couple of those, and we will have more as we keep cutting and shipping for the promotion of our fabric sale. So we don't always have those, but it's nice to get just a little collection of those, and maybe try the fabrics, or you know, just add them to your stash when you need some extra. That's always a good thing to do. So today we're going to look at quilts from the quilt show. We're from Quilt Club Week. We're going to talk about the FireFly particularly, and how to do it, and how to know your sizing. We've had a lot of questions on the text line and email about sizing of FireFlies. So we're going to talk about that, and that's going to be our teaching today. Now, next week on Monday, we're going to show the semester quilt. So those of you that are wanting to join Premium Club and know what our new project is, or those of you that are in Premium Club, you can get organized on your fabric. You can order a kit. We'll have all of that ready to go for you on Monday. I was working on the quilt this morning, and it's really pretty. It's going to be quick. I think you'll be amazed at how quickly it goes together. I was showing it to one of my sisters, and she was like, "That looks really complicated." And I said, "Does it really?" I said, "I was afraid it was going to be too easy, because you know, you have to remember with Square and a Square, the quilts are so easy that it can look complicated to an untrained eye, but when you break it down to Square and a Square, it's just zip, zip, zip." So I think you'll be excited about it. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, we're doing it in the patriotic fabrics, but it's a quilt that you can do in anything, and we'll tell you about the history of quilts, and just how quilts have been such a huge part of history. So make sure you join us on Monday when we show that quilt and talk about our new semester. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do As the Crow Fly and 'Tis the Season, 2 seasonal quilts. And then in September, we've got a whole sheet of things that we're doing to build up to Quilt Club Week. Okay, so I'll try to, I have 2 pages here of quilts and projects that are in Quilt Club Week, and it's just boring when people just stand up here and read da 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 when you don't necessarily have a picture to go over it. But there is so much in Quilt Club Week. I'm going to do some of that, and of course we're going to look at the quilts. We're just going to go through some of this. Now, in 2024, last year, we did the Moonlight Star, the Midnight Orchid, the Pumpkin Star, the Cardinals with 'Tis the Season, Gold Rush, Pathway, Crown, and Trinity. And you've seen, if you've been watching in August this month, when we've been doing our webinars and showing you, you have seen those quilts, and those were ones from last year of 2024. Now, besides the teaching of the quilts that are in Quilt Club Week, we have machine quilting. Kathy Corella is a very talented machine quilter. She uses just her tabletop machine, and she has really outdone herself every year at Quilt Club Week. And sometimes I get so caught up in the quilts and showing you that I don't give Kathy the verbal credit and all of the teaching that she has in there. If you ever wanted to learn how to quilt on your regular sewing machine that you have at home, then you really need to join Premium Club if it's just for the machine quilting. She will take you from the very beginning of how to set up your machine, needles, threads, marking your quilts, how to look at a quilt and decide what you want to put where. Every year she has had hours and hours of actual camera down right there at the sewing machine so that you can see. And I do suggest that with the machine quilting that you start with 2020 and watch it, and then do 2021. I feel like that it really builds and layers the learning on there for you, So start with 2020 if you're brand new and work your way up to this year. This year for 2026, she's going to be doing some machine applique, and she has a beautiful quilt that she made specifically to teach you all of these different things that she wanted to teach. And that quilt has now been submitted to AQS for their 250 year of celebrating America. So I'm excited when they get the judging to see how her quilt did and what they said about it. If you were at Quilt Retreat in April, you saw it, and if you watched some stuff from back spring, we did a quilt talk here in the film studio, and that you saw that particular quilt. Now that quilt is just for the machine quilting and applique. It's not a pattern that we have. It's not a kit that we have. It's a quilt that she designed specifically to teach her machine applique and quilting. We also have some other students that have used some of our patriotic fabrics and made quilts, and they have submitted them to different contests for the 250 year celebration also. And even if you don't submit a quilt to a competition, I am just really, I'm a history person, and I'm just really pushing and imploring everybody to make a quilt to celebrate the 250 years of America, which next 4th of July of 2026, that will be the 250, because this has been an important part of history throughout America of women making quilts to document history, to document different important issues. And for many, many years, of course, that was the only way that women had a way to voice some of their political views about things was through their quilting. So I really want this Happy Birthday America for 250 years. I want them to be able to look back into history and see these quilts that were made. Now, part of the thing also with that is that in 1976, so 50 years ago, when America was 200 years old, that was the revival of quilting. That was when quilting started back up. It had been dying out, and from the 30s to the 40s to the 50s, definitely 40s and 50s, quilting just about died out, and it skipped a lot of people in that generation before it got its revival back in 1976. So I really want this to be a big deal in the quilt world, and that means that I need and want you guys to participate in this part of history. And it could be if you guys make a quilt and you want to send it, you know, there might be, we could put a book together or write patterns or whatever that we need to do to help signify that important part of history. Okay, so we'll talk about the quilts for this year in a little while. Back in, gosh, I didn't write down the years on these. We've done the rolling star, we've done a feathered star, we've done lectures on the history of applique, the history of the sewing machine, the history of so many different things we've done lectures on. We've done disappearing star, we've done double star, we've done Lady of the Lake, you're going to see some of that today. Postage stamp star, As the Crow Flies, Snail's Tails, Turkey Tracks, the Pineapple, Bride's Face, Daddy's Shirts, a lecture, Pillow Shams, machine covers, pillowcases, table runners, small project bags, small makeup bags, borders, climbing geese, a Storm at Sea lecture, and a crown block lecture that are so important for you to watch those. I'm thinking those were 22 or 23, I think probably 23. But you will get so much inspiration. It will help your mojo. They will help you become a creator, a way to look at quilts and build quilts to just kind of do your own thing. Those two lectures I think are phenomenal. Machine quilting, the batting, the blocks, the supply list. We had seatbelt covers, we had project bags, we had hexie coasters, we had seasonal quilts, we had constellation. Rolling star, feathered star, I mean just on and on and on, so much that it really would be boring if I sat here and went through all of it. Hours and hours and hours, downloads, some patterns you can download, some that you have to purchase, it kind of depends on the pattern, but lots and lots of things in Quilt Club Week. So we want you to go in and sign up, start watching the previous years of 20 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So you have 5 years in there ready to go, and then you'll be ready for when we open it up the 3rd week of September, the last full week of September this year of 2025. Okay, let's look at some quilts. That's what we always love to do, and it helps get us to be creative. It helps motivate us. It helps us with color. And as you look at these quilts and you look at the color of them, I want you to think about contrast. That's the main thing that you need to learn with color is contrast. If the fabrics that you're sewing together have a contrast so that the design or the important part of that quilt block or whatever it is you're making will show up. If you don't have that contrast, you're going to lose the points of your star. The star is going to have a center but no outside edge. So that contrast is really, really important. So think about that as we go through these particular quilts. Now let's look at this one down here. Let's start down here. And all of these are quilts that are already in Quilt Club Week for you to learn. If it's not, then I'll say this is a new one, and that's going to be this year. So this one is from our Paradise fabric. It's the pineapple quilt. We had a lady ask just this week, can you make a pineapple with the square and a square system? And the answer is yes. It's option 12, and it will be in your main reference book, book 1. And when you go and look at one of the things that I love about the teaching that I do, whether it's Quilt Club Week or Premium Club, I try to show you as many different color combos of that same design because it just really changes things. And that's also what I love about the Facebook page for Premium Club, is that people will post their colors and their variation of that pattern, and they look so different. And I learn from those photos. So I know you guys do. I will look at a photo and I will say, I never thought about that with that pattern or with that block or with that design. Or look how she did her lights over here when I did my darks, and look how this pops out in the quilt or the option. So if you're a part of Premium Club, definitely go join the Facebook page so that you can get that experience. And I think it really makes your Premium Club an over-the-top experience to be part of that Facebook page. They are nice, they are helpful. We do not allow anybody not being that way. So don't be afraid to go in and join and look and learn. So this is the pineapple quilt. And 2019 we did a lot of teaching on the pineapple, and we had a beautiful one in red and black and white. And then here, this one you can see with the Paradise fabrics. Notice you have a good contrast everywhere. But notice how the black here in the center and just a little bit here in a tiny little frame. What that black does, that black makes the quilt. Without it, it would be so totally different. But what it does is it gives your eye a place to land, and it helps the design pop out. I love putting black in a quilt, and I will do it as much as possible. Now this one here is called Stellar Star, and we do, there's a couple of years, I think maybe like 23 and 25, something like that, of Quilt Club Week. We did a lot of teaching of diamonds. You're going to see a lot of quilts up here today where we have used the diamond. So when people say, oh, will you do more diamonds? Or, oh, I want to learn diamonds. Go to Quilt Club Week and start watching those projects where those diamonds are. Several different options and variations of those diamonds, and you'll get the hang of it real quick just by watching those videos. So this one is Stellar Star. It's made out of the Paradise fabric, and some of these you'll just have to look on the website or email us if you can't find it. But a lot of these are kits that either we have or fabric that we have that we can put a kit together on that for you. This one is Stellar Star. We've used right here for these points here, this is the option 18, which is when we cut the diamond in half, just like we cut the square in half to get flying geese. We cut the diamond in half and we get what we call the Canadian geese. And then this one here is option 20, which is one of the main units for the diamond. And this one is option 19. So you're going to get 18, 19, and 20 in this quilt. And once you learn those three options with the diamond unit, you're ready to move on and do all of the others. because just like the square, everything builds off of 1, 3, and 4. For the diamonds, everything builds off of your 18, 19, and 20. So 19 is long, thin, half square triangle units, and 20 is what we call the rooftop. It's like a flying goose, but it's really squished, and it has these long points or angles on it. This one is Stellar Star. And even though it looks stellar and it looks beautiful, or it looks complicated, this is not one that's too hard to do. I think it would be fun too. I always want to see what it looks like in another color, so I think it would be fun to turn this one in and do another one with a different color. Now this one here is, if you've been watching, you know what this is. This is the Watershed Quilt, and this is one that we're teaching live during Quilt Club Week. Kay and I, for this year of Quilt Club Week, we did a lecture on it and showed different parts together, and then I'm going to be teaching it step by step a little bit each day. And I haven't decided yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to start on Wednesday for the early bird and start the very first process of it, maybe the get started of it, so that you can start cutting the different steps. But I normally don't give a preview before Quilt Club Week or even Premium Club Semester quilts of what we're going to do until we're ready to do it, or I'll give you the pattern, because I don't want people jumping ahead and doing stuff before we start the teaching on it. So if you have your pattern, if you have your kit, you can go ahead and start reading it and looking at it and thinking about your colors and maybe even doing samples of them, but don't start in on your quilt with the main fabrics until we're ready for Quilt Club Week. Please, please, please don't, okay? All right, let's look at this one here. This one is called Bride's Vase, and Sherry and I taught this one, and she made the quilt, and I'm thinking that it was last year. If it wasn't 24, then it was 23. But out of the Paradise Fabrics, I think it's really pretty. You can see the option ones here for the border. And this one is called Bride's Vase. Let me see if I can see. Well, I can't find it on my chicken scratch here of what year it was, but I'm pretty sure it's 23 or 24. And this one is Bride's Vase. This is a great one here to learn 18. It's the same as what we used in the Stellar Star, half square triangles. You can do this now with the new butterfly here, 4-patch, option ones. And look at these option ones for a border, how you can do one color on one side and one on the other, and it gives you a pieced border in 3 colors. And so that's really, really pretty and fun. This one is Snail's Tails. Now, this one is an individual pattern that you can find. This one and this one here, these are both out of the reference book. And this one is the Snail's Tail. And what we do, instead of having a solid square in the middle, we do a 4-patch in the middle, and then we sew around it twice, and that gives you the swirl of that tail, snail tail. And this one here is called Turkey Tracks. Turkey Tracks is one of my favorite patterns. It's very easy and simple to do. You're just going to make some flying geese for the corners, and everything else is solid squares or rectangles. And then in the border, when we taught this one, I'm pretty sure was last year. And one of the things that I enjoyed when Kay and I did the lecture and the teaching on this one is that we show the different flying geese and the borders and the different ways that you can do your colors and twist and turn. And I don't know how many different color variations we had of this one, but we had quite a few that we showed. And like I said, that's something that I really enjoy, is you being able to look at a pattern, see it in multiple colors, and then just the placement of something here or there, flipping it, turning it, you get different looks. And I love this flying goose. We have the flying goose nose going that way, nose going this way, so they're opposites, and it makes this really pretty little zigzag on it. Now this next one here was called, I don't remember the name exactly, tulip something, and we used the Paradise Fabrics. Look at the contrast. When I'm looking at this one in the monitor with the pixels, it's so vivid, it's so beautiful, and it has such great contrast. Now, sometimes a quilt, the actual sewing of a quilt with the square and a square system is very easy. It's not difficult or hard to do with our options. But when you get in there and you start having to pay attention to color and color placement of where it's at, then to me that's what makes a quilt hard. It's not that it's beyond a skill that you can do, but it's going to take more time and more thinking to make sure that each one is put together the way that it should be. And I just love the pop that you get with that black and the orange slice and the pink and the aqua. It's just really, really pretty. And this one is a great one to do. And of course, it's in our Quilt Club week. This one here is Postage Stamp Star. And Postage Stamp Star is really unique. I think I had 3 different quilts to show you during Quilt Club week. And look here at this option 18, that diamond cut in half, how you can get those long thin points. And these are what we call the points going out, but look, if you switch your colors up and points go in, this is the same, option 18. It's just a different color variation, and it shows points going in and going down, and see how this, so going into the design and these coming out of the design to make the star. And I love how you can do it here in the corner, make a little border treatment there, but you really didn't have to go to all of that trouble to create and do that border. We do have some kits left of this particular version of Postage Stamp Star. And this one is not a difficult one to get started with. We do overcutting on the sizing for the 4 patches in the middle, and then it's just your diamond. Now also, if you're wanting to learn the diamond and the cutting of the diamond, when we did the video of this one and put it in Quilt Club week, we really laid out the diamond and went through all the different steps and variations and how to do everything. So for those of you that are wanting to learn how to do the diamond and the cutting of it with your ruler, this is the one to go and watch. And I'm pretty sure it's 2023. It's Postage Stamp Star. Go and watch it, get some scrap fabric, get this one made up, and you'll be feeling really confident and good about making quilts with the diamonds and those long, thin pieces. Now, for those of you that are new to Square and a Square, I'm talking about these shapes, these diamonds, these options, these numbers. And if you're new to the system, you're not going to understand completely everything that I'm talking about. So I suggest that you go and watch some of the other videos. We're going to show a little bit of it down here on the table here in just a few minutes, that you'll be able to get the hang of things. But in, I think it was 2023, what we did for Quilt Club Week for the build-up for the weeks before, like now we're in the build-up of Quilt Club Week, so we've been doing all these teachings on Mondays and Tuesdays to get people in sync with what we're doing. But in 2023, I used those times that we had for pre-Quilt Club Week teaching. I went through this, all of the steps from the very beginning of sewing the basic square, which is this, and all of the trimming, breaking it down into the different families, and we worked on making an option overview book. So if you haven't worked on your book or you haven't watched those videos, you need to go and do it. And this, you can do this for anyone. Anyone can go to the squareandasquare.net teaching and go in and watch, because we want you to know how to make the options, and we want you to know how to use your books and rulers, even if you're not a part of Quilt Club Week or a part of Premium Club. We want you to know how to use your books and rulers, and we give you a lot of teaching to get you going. And when you're ready to learn more, then that's when you come in and you join your Quilt Club week and you join your premium club so that you can get the most out of what we do with square and a square, the science of patchwork, overcutting, pressing, colors, just everything, so that you can become that master piecer and make beautiful quilts and have fun and be proud of your work. So there's even little downloads here that you can print this off to go in the front of your notebook. And then there's family charts, and then you just go in and start making the options. Now the square options are easy for you to do because you've had these shapes in your head since preschool and kindergarten, and they're just 90 and 45-degree angles. The diamond shapes are not just floating around up there in your head. They're not something that you learned and that you got that pushed down into your memory, into that gray matter. So learn the square, get the hang of the system with the units that are more tangible in your mind, and then move forward with those diamonds. All of this, anybody can do. Anybody can do. And my granddaughter now is a teenager, and she's not, I only have one granddaughter and the rest are grandsons. So she's busy with her thing and not doing a lot of sewing right now. But even when she was very young, I mean preschool age, as she was sewing and she was doing the shapes and she knew what they were. So if a preschooler can do it, I know that you guys can too. So don't be afraid to jump in there and get some scrap fabric, get your options made, put your book together so that you'll learn them. And this helps you learn how to trim them, what number they are, and to help start seeing them in the quilts. Because really every quilt can be turned into a square and a square, and it gives you what we call the square eyes, the square eyes of the square in a square system. Okay, so, and if you have any questions, go ahead and get those in. Now 2023 and I think 2024, we have just all fallen in love with the Storm at Sea. The Storm at Sea is a design or a pattern that's been around forever, and it's always been a very difficult design or pattern. And people have done all kinds of classes and patterns and paper piecing and even, you know, individual tools to make the pieces that you need for the Storm at Sea. And years and years ago, the very first book I wrote had a Storm at Sea in it, when I realized that the Storm at Sea is just an option 1, and it's just an option 2, meaning you're going to sew around it twice. So it's an option 1, it's an option 2, and then it's the option 7. And the combination of putting those together is what makes all of these beautiful, beautiful designs. So this year at Quilt Club Week, we're doing this one here, the watershed pattern. And we have it in this color combo of the shadows. And then we also have it in the patriotic colors. And while I'm teaching it during Quilt Club Week, my samples and my colors are from that patriotic fabric. It's very, very easy to do. So let's just kind of look. So we call it a double Storm at Sea because you're doubling everything as you put it together. Like you have 2 diamond shapes here instead of 1. So it's the double. You have double option 2s instead of 1. And then also we've used option 9 for the corners on here. And using these corner or these triangle units that are the options for the setting units, we're going to be doing a lot of that in the future, because that right there is a game changer and really pretty phenomenal to be able to use those for those corner shapes. So you have your option 2, you have your option 1s, you have your diamonds, and that's what you put together for your Storm at Sea. Now this one here is out of the Hen House book, and in September we're going to go through the quilts of the Hen House book and do some more teaching on this hen house, because these little hen houses, this little shape right here, where you get the 3 flying geese or more or less inside that square, that is the hen house. And they are so addictive, and it's a great way to go in and work on your scraps. And that's kind of how the hen house got started, was working on our scraps. Now, when you look at this quilt right here, this is Storm at Sea. So let's look at the rows. Let's break down what a Storm at Sea is. Okay, so here's our first row. Here's your hen house, and that goes on the long side of your diamond. So that means that's where your option 2 would be. So you can put anything in there, option 2, hen houses. And then your next one is, see that diamond going vertical? And then your hen house. And the diamond vertical and hen house. And that's what that row and every other row is. Then the other row is the diamond laying down and a plain square. So a plain square, an option 1, an option 2. This is all a Storm at Sea is, guys. Option 7, laying down, standing up, something in your big square hen house. Option 2, something in your small square. See how it goes on the small side of the diamond. And this lecture that we did, I think we've been doing Storm at Seas every year because there's just so much that you can do with the Storm at Sea. And this one is called Harvest Bounty. It's in your hen house book. Phenomenal, beautiful. It looks paper pieced. It looks difficult. You can be just a below average seamstress with your sewing machine and put this quilt together. That's just how simple we make it, and once you learn the system and what we do. I love this one. Some of these like this, I'm so addicted to them. I just want to sit down and sew these quilts over and over again. See a different color combination. Look how the color combination here, it gives you these circles. It gives you these circles. You get this kind of blocky Celtic type cross. You have the stars that jump out in some of them. And these flying geese, I mean, you could show someone a quilt like that and you would become their idol, their quilter, their idol. They would be like, she can make this, she can do anything. No paper piecing, no ripping anything out. You don't have to make friends with Jack. Just so easy to do. I could just, like I said, sit down and just sew hen houses all the time, all day long. Okay, and then this one here is a new one. So this is a new one. It's called Peace Through Strength. And we have these kits ready to go. You can go on the website and order them now. And this is one that we're going to be teaching during Quilt Club Week. And one of the things that I love about this one is it's just the constellation pattern. So in the Quick and Easy book that comes with your ruler, there's a little square quilt that's constellation. And what constellation is it's a plain square or a colored square with an option 1, and those just alternate. And then it's that same option 1 with a background square, and those alternate, and then the rows just flip. And you can make it this size of star, you can make it a smaller, you can make it larger, you can use the charts in the book, and it's just so super pretty. Then we've used the star in all 4 corners. And then this is a flying goose with a square on the end. Flying goose with a square. And we have a very fast chain piecing, strip piecing method to give you those corners. So this is like the jets. See, like the jets storm out, you know, north, south, east, and west. And we've seen some pretty cool things with some jets just here lately with the military. And so I'm really excited to have these, the Peace Through Strength. And those little flying geese up there look kind of stealthy, I think. Okay, do we have a question? Could we place a batwing or butterfly for the rectangles of the hen house? Yes, and what an awesome idea. Anytime there's a rectangle, you can do any of those rectangle shapes or units. And so when you look in the book, when you look in your reference books, there are several rectangle shapes. Of course, there's the plain rectangle, a normal flying goose, and option 15. Let's just look and see what I might have here in my book. Let's put the camera down here and look. And if you go back to the Batwing class that we did, I think that was in June, we talked about how you can have a rectangle and substitute any of these shapes in that rectangle. So rectangle, flying goose.
You might have to move your book.
Okay. Let's find more rectangles. Now look at this one with all of those hen houses in there. And then here it is here. And think about color. So this one, we have the 3 flying geese in color. Everything else is a neutral, a light, a background. So those really stand out. But if you put a color here, then it's going to look like you have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 flying geese. So when you look back up here at this one, see how we have color.
Sorry.
See how we have color here and here. And so see how that, you know, if that was the background, look how you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like 4 flying geese going out, and it's just done with color. So let's look and see some more rectangles. I know 15. So this right here is 15. So see how it's a rectangle shape? So you could put that in the middle and keep building with your hen house. Once you, I love this question because it shows me that you're familiar with the system and you're being creative and you're thinking about what you've learned and building and doing that layer on top of it. So think about the dragonflies, the butterflies, the bats, how all of those can be put in to make your center, and then you just sew around it and you've got this beautiful, really a work of art. Excellent, excellent. Let's see. And then of course in the diamond shapes you're going to have some rectangles also, and you can use them. Ooh, that makes me want to get some of that going. Part of it is when I do this, what if, what happens, what do you get? And I love that what if question. Okay. I think that's all the quilts I had up here. I want to show you one more, and it's really big and it's quilted and it's heavy, and so I don't have it up on the wall because it would just make everything fall. So this one was the Jingle Jangle quilt that we taught, and I think it was 21 or 22. And this is a great one for scraps. And this is when we started seeing how to make circles, just the regular angles, but you get circles out of your work. And so this one we did with the star, and it's a Jingle Jangle star, and then we also did it with a 9 patch for just the original Jingle Jangle. And many students have made this one, and all of them are just so gorgeous and so beautiful, and that's a great way to use up your scraps. And I had one lady back in the spring, she was like, okay, I've made all these stars from my scraps. How do I put them together? Well, there's a perfect example right there. And I mean, there's just stars in everything that we do. Stars are just in everything. Okay, any questions? We're going to do some options and move into our FireFlies.
The blue camera's the only one working.
This one is the only one working? Okay. Let's bring camera down here, and I can adjust it wherever I need. Now, one of the emails I got today, someone said, I want to make a flying goose that's big. It's 5 by 10. And so that's not on the chart because that's really a big one. And so she was like, how do I do it? Go to your reference book and go to your option 3. not your charts, but all of the options have what we call magic math. So here with your option 1, we have our magic math down here in this little corner. So if what you want's not on the chart, we have magic math option 2, and here's your magic math option 3. And the biggest tip on reading the charts, I helped a lady yesterday learn how to read the charts, and doing the magic math is making sure that you know the cut size and the sewn size and that you're working with the correct one. Okay? So everything we do just starts out like this with a square in the middle.
Having some sound trouble, it looks like.
Sound trouble? If you're having trouble with sound, let us know. Is it doing okay? How's it look on your meter?
It's perfect on my meter.
So it's perfect on our equipment. Okay, then we're just going to move forward. It could be their iPad or...
Did you dump your mic? Turn off that.
Not that I know it. Not normally a problem that we have. I haven't got wild up here, so I don't think so. It's turned on. More than one said they couldn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Let's see what's wrong with this camera.
Your camera's on and it's showing your table.
I had to do that in order to fix your camera.
Okay, let us know if our sound is better and everything's working the way that we should. Can we bring our camera down here to the bottom? It's going to be swinging a little bit. Okay.
You need to adjust it, or?
Nope, I think we're good. Okay, so every quilt we make starts out just like this with a square in the middle, strips on the side. Of course, you can change colors and sizes, but everything starts out with what we call the basic square right here. Then the different ways you trim it up with the square and a square tool, you get the different triangle units. This one is option 1. See how we leave the 1/4 of an inch on all 4 corners. And yesterday we went through the option 1, the option 3, the option 4 in good detail. So if you're new, go back and watch some of those and you can learn a little bit more. Just like this was a square with strips that we put on, now this is a square and you can put more strips on. Of course they get wider and longer because the square grows. Trim it up the same way and look how you get another row of triangle units going around. And all of these we trim leaving the 1/4 of an inch for our point because we're not cutting it up. But down here with the flying geese and the half square triangles, we are cutting it through that square. So we have to trim those corners different because we're cutting through. With the flying goose, we're cutting one time, so you can see how we went sharp right up to the tip. And on the half square triangles, we're cutting it both times, so we have to do that two-step on all four. So let's trim one down here so that you can see the 1/4 of an inch, and so that you can see the two-step. And the two-step, it creates a seam allowance and it moves the points. So I'm going to scoot these up. These are my little fireflies that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But for now, we're going to trim this. We're going to show the option 1 and the 1/4 of an inch and the two-step. Okay, so this is the little mini ruler, and this first set of lines come together and touch the tip of that 90, and you can see that 1/4 of an inch right there off of the tip of that 90. Okay, so we're going to put that 90 right into a corner, and then when we trim it up, see how you have that 1/4 of an inch. So like on this one here, you can see that 1/4 of an inch, and we did that to all four corners. Then when you go right up to the tip, or trim it sharp, we're going to step it over 1, 2, and put the tip of that line right in the corner or tip of that square. So hopefully you can see here. Okay, so when I put the 90 in, I just push it in, goes right in that tip, and it's going to leave that 1/4 of an inch. And I know on this sample the color is not great or as easy for you to see. So there you can see that 1/4 of an inch, just like that. Now when I do the two-step, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push the 90 in that corner, and then I'm going to step it 1, 2. We step it over 2 lines. That's why we call it the two-step. And then when you cut, see how it cuts sharp right up to that point. So when you do your options, you just either leave the 4th or do the two-step. So let's look at our FireFly of the half square triangles. So when you make option 4, your half square triangles, you're going to two-step all 4 corners and cut, and then you have individual half square triangles. And we know that they go in just about everything that you make. But when you want multiple half square triangles in a row, we're going to do what we call the FireFly. So when you do the FireFly, you still use the chart, and we'll talk about charts with the half square triangles here in just a minute, but your sizing doesn't change. The only thing that's different is instead of cutting 2 times to get individual units, you're only going to cut 1 time, and you're going to get 2 rectangles. And these are FireFly rectangles because you've trimmed up to the tip. See, with a flying goose, you have that 1/4 of an inch on that point. So this is the difference in a FireFly rectangle and a flying goose. Flying goose has a point because you're going to sew here and you're not cutting it up. This is still going to be half square triangles in your project. We're still going to cut through here, but we're just going to do it later, not now. Now when you have your FireFly rectangles, you can put like 2 to 5 in a row. So see, here's 2, you can make that seam. Here's 3, 1, 2, 3, and you can do more, but I think things start shifting. So really that 4 for me is my limit. I will not put more than 4 together. So there you can see 4. Now because we have our two-step trim here, That means that when we sew this seam, we get this blunted edge in here, and that's what we want. And of course, this one here on the very end, there's not a seam, so it still has that two-step corner that you can see. But we're going to come in here and cut these again, and this is our seam allowance off of our point. So let's look at this one. So here on this one, we put 3 together of the same color combo. And then on this one, we had the color in the middle and the background on the corners, and we turned it and it went on like that. And that's how you got that other color, and you got it turned going the other direction. Then we just came in here and cut it. And because we have this blunted area in here, we have our 1/4 of an inch off of those corners. So see, when you have these like this, you're not going to get all of these little individual units turned. So just think, if you wanted to do that, you would have to do this and sew them together and hope that you don't get them turned. What I mean is, like, maybe you get something put together like that, and you got to rip it and take it out and put it back in right. So when you do them in the FireFly, you're going to create more speed and more accuracy and help remove the human element. And all of your half square triangles are going to stay turned. There's no way to get this one in the middle turned wrong like when you are doing the individuals. So you'll come in here and just cut them in half. So let's look at this one. So here you can see the 3, and then we did reverse color and sew it so the point goes out, because see, all of these points are going that way, and cut it. And what we're looking for is this little shape right here. So when we come in here and cut this, look how, I'm not going to cut it, but that's what it would look like when it's cut. And see how you can put 1, 2, 3, you can have your 3 right here. And then these are mirror images, and look what you have on the other side. You have the mirror images that are correct. So you can also put your FireFlies together and then put a strip on the end, just a plain strip on the end, and you can get your corner. So look at this one. Look how we, just let me turn it, because I always like to keep my points going the same direction. So here you can see how we did the 3 and do the opposite color on the end, and then just put a rectangle or a strip on the end. And then when you cut it down the middle, you have that corner square on there. So let's look at this one, and let's see, these are going this direction. So see how this turns out to be that. See that? And we didn't have to sew every little piece together. And this is the FireFly book. Now, if you do the corner on here like this on this one, then when you get over here, you only need that. So you would have some that do not have that corner on there. So for example, let's look at this one. This one is this, and this one that we were working with. And then you put whatever you have in the center, and then this one, and this one. So see how you have the other one ready to go. So one will go on one block, and the other half will go on the next block. And then look at this one. Look how you could do that. If you want to change, see how these are all going that angle? If you need to switch an angle, then do that, and then you have the angle going the opposite direction. You can do scrappy. But this is the FireFly. Now, let's talk about sizing. Let's talk about, I think that's pretty cool. Is that exciting for you? Okay, this is your FireFly book, and at the beginning of the book, we talk about the different options and what you need to know. we give you the options, and then we get into what I call the characteristics. So that means like all these different variations of colors and turning them. We start with the very simple of just 2 colors all going the same direction. Then we talk about if you do one color on one side, one on the other. Then we talk about putting an option 3 flying goose in there, and see how you can get, see, you don't need a seam right there when you're changing directions. So we did 2 flying geese that we had not cut yet, and then we did the FireFly on the end, and look at that whole section that you get. And this is great for crown shapes, crown blocks. And then we have these that we used for different stars and the Megan's feathered star. And then look at all of these beautiful, huge sets of half square triangles everywhere, and you can do that with the FireFly. Look how even you can even get half of a triangle on the end instead of a whole one. And this one here is the hen house. So look what we did with the hen house. We put the 3 FireFlies in there like a hen house, surrounded it with our strips, cut it down the middle, and look at this beautiful triangle unit. Now, we were talking about triangle units being side setting units in a quilt. So think about this shape here going in anytime you have a triangle. And then we have some other shapes, and then we have the charts, and we have expanded charts on there so that you can go larger. And then we get into the different quilts. So we have the feathered star, and this is one that we taught during Quilt Club Week. We have the Stone Mountain, which is one of my most favorite patterns. You can see these beautiful FireFlies we did to help make those shapes. I only made one Stone Mountain, and it's definitely one that I want to make again. And then this one on the star paw, it's like a bear paw in the corner, but it's kind of like a star. And look how we use those flying geese right there to get those angles going the other way, mixed in with our FireFly. And I think we can find that picture right over here. So the FireFly, 2 flying geese units, a FireFly, sew them together, cut it in half, and there's that whole shape, this whole section right here that you need to go here on the outside edge of your block. It's just amazing, just amazing. It just makes your work so fast and fun and fabulous. If you want to do, and then the Lady of the Lake, and then the Night Star. Look how we put these FireFlies together, and then when we cut them up, we get these whole shapes. And then there's your block broke down. So really fun to do. This one right here is just such a beautiful block. It looks like it would be tedious and difficult to do, but with the system, we just break everything down to just be so simple and easy, to just squares in the middle, strips on this side, trim it up, let the system do the magic, and you've got yourself a beautiful quilt. Okay, so this one here is one that Kay designed and put together for us during Quilt Club Week, and it's called Surrounded. And in Premium Club, one of the ladies decided to do this one, and she expanded out. She took the different units and just kept expanding out with it to make a bigger quilt. It really was beautiful, and the interactions of some of these coming together really was a beautiful quilt and very unique. And then let's look back down here at the table again, and let's look.
Why don't you answer this question?
Okay, answer a question. Sandy says, my goodness, where does a beginner begin? It can certainly be overwhelming if you are a beginner. But
To our system.
yeah, if you're a beginner to our system, because we're showing you basically 50 options and things that I've done for almost 40 years. So go in and just go into the squareandasquare.net. And I think the first place to go is just start watching some videos and playing around with your fabric to learn the different shapes and make your option overview book and learn just those basic options. There's also one called the Core of the System that you can watch. Can you watch that in just the webinar section, the Core of the System?
Yeah, it should be in 2025.
Okay, in 2025, in the webinars, look for one that says the Core of the System and watch it. And then there's one on overcutting and troubleshooting, but I think those are pretty much after you get going on those, once you have your feet wet of what you're doing. But certainly just don't stand back and not do anything. You know, one lady said the other day about how do I get my mojo back, or how do I start doing, you know, whatever. And she was a Square and a Square club member. And I was like, what excites you? You know, what are you looking at and saying, man, I really want to get started doing that? You know, so maybe, you know, this one right here is a great one to start with, is this one right here with constellation. And when you order your ruler, a small version of the constellation is going to be a pattern in that book. And that it's a small quilt. It's not even, it's probably just a little bit bigger than this square right here. And you're going to learn option 1 and option 3. And so it's a great place to get started and learn those 2 options, and then just see where it takes you. It's just amazing.
This is a cool.
Renee says, it's addictive. I quilt more than I sleep. It really is addictive. It really is. And you know, you get started on a project, and like me, I'm like, I'll be working on a project, and then, you know, maybe I have fabrics laying on the table, and all of a sudden I see 2 new colors coming together that I hadn't thought about before, and I'm like, oh, I want to put those 2 colors together. What does that look like? I mean, I do these lectures, and I think about this, and I talk about that, and what if we could do this? And I just want to go do it so bad, so bad. So just jump in there and start. Go to the squareandsquare.net and start watching in the webinar section, and see what kind of
There's a good starter pack.
makes your heart sing. And then we do have starter packs where you, let me talk about the books and rulers for those that are new. Okay, this is the reference book here, and this is a must book. This is volume 1. This is the one that's going to deal with your squares. It needs to be the first one that you purchase. And then this one is the one that goes with the diamonds, and it does options 18 to 39, and I think that's a good second one to get. Now on the rulers, we always say to start with the original, because this ruler will do, the original ruler will do all your shapes for all of your options that we have, the 50 options, and there'll be more. Back when I just did this ruler, like close to 40 years ago now, people were like, well, why do you have some of these extra lines on there if we're not using those? And I'm like, because when I come out with new options, and at that time I only had 7 options, I was like, your same ruler will work. You won't have to buy a new tool. And it's been 40 years, 50 options, and your same ruler works. Now we had people that asked for a smaller one, so I did the mini one, and it's turned out to be one of my favorites. It will do almost everything. If I get big, then I have to either butt another ruler up next to it, or it's got the corner square on it. I use it all the time. It's become one of my favorites. And then we had people that were wanting some additional help with a diamond, that diamond shape in the middle. And this little corner square only went to 4. So I'm always like, oh, do I really want to make another ruler? I don't want to have to inventory it, to, you know, produce it, make a little book, to all of that. And there's a video on the website. You can go to the multi-purpose grande ruler. In fact, I think you can go to all of them and watch a little video that gives a synopsis of, you know, different things that they do. And so this one's the grande, the multi-purpose one. So we have on the website starter packs. So you can go in and like choose your ruler and choose your reference book. So maybe you already have the original, and maybe somehow you got the diamond book and book 2 and you didn't get book 1. You could go in and order a mini or a grande and add the book to it, so you can kind of mix and match a ruler with a book.
Individual.
Yeah, or you can get them individually, but when you buy 2 of those like that, then I think you save $5, which always helps. Okay, so, and then on some of the other books, let's just look down here, Steve, I'll do them real quick. This is the Melee Women book.
Where you at?
I guess with the blue camera. Okay, so Melee Women book, 34 patterns in that one, and those go with the novel. And then, of course, your 2 reference books. And As the Crow Flies, we'll be teaching that next week, I think, and it's in that little pattern book. Option 40, and then there's 41, the Snowball. As the new options have come out, that we've just done them in individual books. This is actually 43, the Hen House, and then the new one, the Bats, the Butterflies, and the Dragonflies. I think those are 45, 46, and 47.
46, 47, 48.
46, 47, 48.
That was
45. Bats
Yeah,
are
it's
45. Yeah, because the Fireflies are 44, which is kind of what we highlighted today. And of course, there's individual patterns. And then don't forget the month of August, our fabric sale. And go to the .net, squareandsquare.net for the teachings. Go to .com for your orders. And any other questions? Let's see. Oh, I have one. This is a future Quilt Club Week project. We'll be doing this one this year. And it is called Basket Weave Star. And it is using the patriotic fabrics. If you do it like we do, and we do have the little kits ready to go on the website. It's 42 by 42. We've done option 4 and Fireflies, and then just the split rail. When you do, I talked a little bit about this in yesterday's video, but there's really only so many different components that you make, and then it's the combination of them and the colors of them that create all the quilts. So this little split rail, this is like one of the combinations. It's like potatoes in your kitchen or whatever. You use potatoes and mix them together to create other stuff, or flour or sugar or whatever. There's just so many different components. There's really not that many different shapes. And it's just the combination of how you put them together with your colors that creates everything that there is. And we still haven't shown this one down here on the table. This one is Lady of the Lake, and we taught this one last year in Quilt Club Week. I can scoot it over a little bit, and I can hang it up on the wall too. It's got our flange binding on it, and it's just really a beautiful quilt. You look at it, you think paper piecing, you think, look at those little half square triangles, but once again with the system, it just makes it so easy. Let's put it up here and they can see it. And that's one from last year Quilt Club Week. Really pretty. So tons of quilts, something for everyone, whether they're quilts, whether they're little projects, whether they're little craft sewing, machine quilting. You will learn a lot during Quilt Club Week. And for those of you that are brand new and you want to just kind of try us out a little bit, you can go and join Quilt Club Week. And then when Quilt Club Week is over, you get the opportunity to bump your membership of Quilt Club Week over to Premium Club. And we have many, many people that do that all the time. Okay, any last minute questions? I'm going to be working all week on shipping those fabric orders and finishing up on our semester quilt to show you on Monday. So keep your fingers crossed I get all those dragonflies made. And we'll be ready to roll. Any last minute questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll see you down that patchwork path. Bye for now.